to Tejedoraknits. My name is Gladys. I am a knitter and crafter based out of Southern Nevada, and today I wanted to bring you guys along in the process of making my very first self-drafted sweater. So I did not purchase a pattern for this sweater. I kind of came up with the design on my own, and I think the finished product is great. I really enjoyed it, and it was actually really fun to make. So let me bring you guys along on the journey. Don't forget to give this video a like if you find it enjoyable, and consider subscribing to join this community. So let's get started. Kind of as a bit of an introduction, I had purchased this yarn from Explorer Knits and Fiber from their Farmers Market pre-order collection several months ago. And I kind of had an idea that I wanted a breezy, kind of beachy type of sweater. This yarn is an 80% non-superwash merino and 20% linen blend, so it is a very nice blend, a really nice yarn to work with. So I was kind of thinking of options of kind of what I wanted, and I liked some of the patterns that I was looking through, but I figured the ones that I was drawn to were pretty simple patterns, and I kind of thought maybe I could do that on my own. So I decided to go for it. I have made a few patterns, but I wouldn't say I'm an expert or advanced knitter by any means, but I decided to go for it, do a little bit of math. I did have a couple of patterns that I already owned that I kind of took bits of inspiration from and kind of used some of the stitch counts, modified them, did the math, adjusted to my gauge, etc. So I did have a little bit of help in that sense. So we'll start with doing my very first swatch to get to know this fiber. So let's get started. Okay, so first little update on the tomato sweater. I have a swatch going. I swatched with 4.5 millimeter needles. Just incidentally, I was going to do 4, but then I realized my 4 millimeter needles are on a project right now. So I just went with 4.5. And I quite like this. I feel like here, if you show it up to the light, it is a bit open. But if you look at it straight on, it does not look, I don't think this looks like fingering on 4.5. The yarn is just really plump and nice to work with. I love this. This is, this might be a go-to base for Explorer Knits and Fibers, actually, for me. I have a bit of an update for you. It's nighttime, so hopefully the lighting isn't too bad. But I did block my swatch, and it did grow a little bit. I've already unraveled my swatch since I already cast on, so I don't have it anymore. But before blocking, I was at 25 stitches per 4 inches. And then after blocking, it went down to 23 stitches and 30 rows. I didn't measure my rows beforehand. So it did grow a little bit. I ended up doing some math, and I ultimately decided to try out 136 stitches for the cast on. And I ended up splitting the raglans in 50 for the front and the back and 16 for each sleeve. And I had to do it have to cast on or unravel quite a bit. Okay, it was just twice. It was not that many. It's not that bad. But I had to unravel twice because I was having a hard time. Again, I don't like magic loop, but I was having a really hard time with the short cables that I had available since I have 5-inch tips instead of 4-inch tips. So I guess we'll make work with magic loop. And one of those times that I was unraveling, I had an idea of trying yarn overs instead of the make right, make last for the raglan. So that's what I'm doing on this one. We will see how it looks. I think it might look cute. And right now I'm also working the short row. So I decided to do 6 repeats of short rows to do some shaping. So let's see how it goes. Here's where I'm at. Okay, so since the last update, I finished up my short rows. I believe it was 6 rows, if I'm not mistaken, of short rows that I did, and it was looking pretty good. And right after I finished the short rows, I figured I should start the helical knitting. So I had to skein up or wind up the second skein of yarn, and that's why I didn't work on it for a couple days, because I just needed to get out my Swift and the ball winder and all that. But I did it, and I just started the helical knitting. I've done maybe about 2 rows so far. So let me zoom you in over here so that way you can see the details a little bit better. So here is what it is looking like. I am almost able to knit it fully on these circulars. The whole magic loop situation was so annoying and so fiddly. So right now what I'm doing is traveling loop.
So pretty much you just like pull out the cord and just work all your stitches, and your stitches start accumulating here on the needles. And once you have a few stitches, you just like slide them out, and you know, the loop kind of stays around here. So I find this so much more comfortable. This is what the yarn overs are looking like instead of the make one left and right. When I was doing the purling side on the short rows, so this is going to be on my left shoulder. There's some little odd ones that I didn't quite know what was going on. Looks, the ones on the left hand on my right shoulder look very much more neat. They look a lot cleaner. But you know, it doesn't really bother me that much, and it's just those few that I had to do when I was purling. So from here on out, I think that will be perfectly fine. So here is a very early on rudimentary try on. I am liking the openness of the neckline so far. It is still scrunching up a little bit, so I know it's not super accurate. I am planning on doing a mid-project block before I split for sleeve. I figured I want to, you know, give it a block and make sure that I'm liking the amount of ease and the underarm and all that stuff before I keep on going. So I will check in with you guys once there is more progress. Okay, time for another update. It's been about a week. I'll make sure to list dates on the different clips so that way you have a sense of time and how long this is taking me. It has been taking me quite a bit. One, because this is the first fingering weight project I've done. So even at this open gauge, it grows quite slowly. And two, I have a lot more projects on the needles than I usually do. I usually like to have like 3, and one of them being a sock, so 2 main projects. But I have casted on a lot of projects for spring right now, so I've been distributing my time quite evenly for the most part. So this one has gotten maybe like 2-3 rows on most nights, but nothing crazy for the most part. So I felt like I wasn't making any progress, but I kind of stopped and looked, and I think I have done a good amount of progress. I don't have my tape measure with me, but I want to say this is maybe like 3 inches on the front. So I think that's been good. The increases are growing quite steadily. I'm just finding myself at the point where I'm bored of stockinette. I know so many people say that stockinette is so meditative and so soothing, and yes, it can be, but I find it equal parts meditative and equal part boring. So anyways, so I think what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go do the I-cord neckline. So that way when I try it on, I have a better sense of how the neckline is going to lay. Since I'm using 4.5 millimeter needles, I'm going to do 3.5. I actually have my only set of DPNs are in 3.5 millimeters, so that works out perfectly. So I'm going to do an applied I-cord edge in 3.5 millimeter needles.
Hello, first time seeing you in the sunlight. Today is daylight savings time, so the sun is back. But I wanted to try on my work in progress since I was trying on other works in progress. So I might as well just get it out all of the way. So I attached an extra cable to my existing cable, I guess that would be called. So it's long enough now to try it on. And this is what I have so far. I did add on the I-cord edge.
Here we go. I think you can see that. I did have some issues with closing the I-cord. The first time that I did an I-cord, I did it on boucle yarn. So, I mean, you couldn't see anything. So I just, stitched up willy-nilly. But this one, you can see it a little bit. I don't think it's really noticeable, but if it does bother me, I'll unpick it and figure it out later. But for the time being, and it's also like in the back. So for now, I think it's fine. But this is what I have so far. I think I'm going to place a progress keeper and try maybe 1 more inch and then try it on again and see how that's feeling, and then possibly do the block at that point. I think 1 inch more should work, or possibly like 1.5 inches. We'll see, but let me take my hair out. This is how the back is looking. So far so good. Let's keep on going.
Hello, it has been many a day and night in my world. That previous last clip was from March 9th. It is currently May 20th. So I put this project on hold for quite some time because I had picked up a test knit, and then I was trying to get some baby projects completed for my sister's baby shower. So they needed to get done on a deadline, so I paused pretty much all of my whips. But the deadlines are done, are they completed? And now I am back to my beautiful tomato sweater. Goodness gracious, it felt so good to put this back on the needles. And I feel like my knitting knowledge is growing exponentially by the day. So there are a couple of new things that I have learned that I would like to add into my tomato sweater. I think I had mentioned previously, I wish I would have done a 2-stitch raglan versus a 1-stitch, but that's okay. I don't want that enough to rip back. But something new that I have learned is how to do a lateral braid bind off. So that is what I'm going to do for the sleeves. So I have decided I'm going to do the sleeves with no decreases. So kind of, maybe I'm assuming it'll probably do a bit of a slight bell sleeve, no decreases, and then that lateral braid bind off. So that way it will provide a little bit of structure so that the sleeves aren't just like flopping. And I decided not to add that at the bottom because since I already did the I-cord for the neckline, I'll do the I-cord for the bottom, so that way those two match. And I have also learned a lot about bust shaping lately, so I was debating whether I wanted to include it or not, but my thought is because the gauge is quite open, I feel like if I try to do bust darts, it would be quite obvious with the fabric gauge that I'm working with. So I think I'm going to forego the bust shaping, even though I love a good bust shaping, but I am going to do waist shaping. I might be pretty aggressive. On the waist shaping. We'll see how it starts fitting. But since I last saw you, I put this project back on my needles yesterday, I think. And my goal was to knit 1.5 inches from the progress keeper I placed during my last try on, which I have accomplished. So my next step is, I think it is time to do a block. So I'm going to give it a good block and do a try on and see how it fits. But I think I might be ready to split for sleeves. So it is quite late today, so that will be happening tomorrow. So I'll see you guys tomorrow to do that block. Hello, welcome to my backyard. So sweater is in for a little mid project block. I just attached an extra cord to my existing cord and then put stoppers on it. I kept it attached to the yarn balls, so I'm just gonna let it soak for a little minute. I did take measurements of the space between the raglans on the front and on the arms, so that way I can get a more accurate comparison of how much it is growing. So let's see. Time for a try on. It is nicely blocked. So it actually didn't grow as far as width goes. I should have measured the length though. That was just an error on my part, because I do think that the length has grown a little bit. I actually think this is perfect to start the underarm. Between the front raglans, I have a total of 17 stitches. So front and back, I'm talking about 34 inches for the bust. So I'm trying to figure out how many stitches I want to cast on in the underarm. So 34 would give me 1 inch of positive ease from my upper bust. So I'm going to do a little bit of math because I do want a little bit, I want it to be a little bit more oversized. So let me do some math and figure out how many stitches I'm going to cast on for the underarms. But I think that this works well. And then also, you know, as it has more weight on it, I think it'll continue to stretch a little bit further down. So I think that's going to work out. Well, I guess with the extra stitches, we can say it'll fit something like this. So let's carry on. I have been steadily knitting away, and here I am. So you can see the demarcation there from where I blocked. So right after I blocked, I split for sleeves and put the, you know, the sleeve yarns on a scrap yarn. I ended up deciding, the sleeve stitches on a scrap yarn. I ended up deciding on casting on 8 stitches under the arm, and I placed a little marker in between, right in the middle, to mark for my waist shaping. So I have just been in the zone, just knitting away on this one. And I had decided that at the 3-inch mark is where I was going to do my first set of decreases for the waist shaping. I have placed this little progress keeper right here where I achieved that. So I think every about 1.5 inches, I'm going to do a set of decreases. So I'm just making a decrease. So I'll slip the stitch, knit 1, and then do the decrease. So I'm doing a knit 2 through together left, and then on the other side I'm doing a knit 2 together. So that way they're leaning towards the center line. I am thinking that perhaps like 1 inch further down, I'm going to go back and do the sleeves. I do have a 3rd skein of yarn, but I'm not sure if I'm going to use it. I think I will actually, because I weighed these because I saw the balls were starting to get a little bit smaller. So I weighed these, and this is about 75 grams of yarn out of the 200. So I do think that I will need that 3rd skein. The thing is, I don't know if that 3rd skein is a different dye lot because there's no dye lots on the tags. So I'm wanting to put that yarn further towards the bottom in case there's any differentiation. I would like the sleeves to have these same 2 balls of yarn. So I think pretty soon I'm going to go back and do that. I know it's going to be pretty annoying to have the yarn connected from the outside and from the inside. So maybe I'll put them in like plastic baggies. I don't know, like Ziplocs. Maybe that'll help. But I'm going to put a movie on and just keep on stitching away. I have a sleeve, well, almost have a sleeve. So I am trying it on to see how my sleeve length is going. So what I ended up doing, I did 2 sets of decreases here at the very join, just to, I don't know, my Seaway pullover did that, and it has like a straight sleeve, but it does have a couple of decreases here at the start. So I just thought that would be a good idea to do. So it's working out quite well. For a minute, I thought that the sleeves were looking really big when I was knitting them. I didn't think that I was this far down on my arm, but it's actually not looking that belled to me. So I don't know. I think I might try it on one last time right before binding off to decide whether I want to do a bit of a decrease or just keep it as a bell. It's been a bit challenging to knit from both the inside and the outside of 2 separate balls. So I have to be quite careful when I'm working on this on not tangling the yarn terribly. So far I've done a pretty good job. So this is where I am at. Hopefully I'll have a finished sleeve quite soon, and then I will get started on the second sleeve and then keep on going with the body. So sleeve is all done, and actually a lot of progress on the body as well. So on the sleeve, I ended up going for the bell sleeve. I think it looks very cute. And then that lateral braid bind off. To to be honest, it doesn't really look that much different than an I-cord, slightly, but I wouldn't really say it's much different than a regular I-cord. So, but I still think it's a bit of a tighter bind off, so it does provide a little bit more structure because of the bell shape of the sleeve. So this is where I'm at with my yarn balls. I will definitely be needing to crack into that third ball of yarn just because these sleeves are, you know, they take up a significant amount of yarn. I'll put it that way. I'll probably even use up this last little bit doing my second sleeve. I've also been, you know, just steadily stitching away on the body. I didn't want to start the second sleeve until I came on here and gave you guys an update. But I have done, you can see here, 3 sets of decreases already. And I'm kind of liking this. I feel like it's always hard to tell when you're like trying it on because you have all this extra cord of how it's actually going to lay in the back. Because I kind of don't like it when it starts to like flare out in the back. But I definitely need a few more inches of length, but I'm not going to worry about the length right now. I am about to pick up the sleeves, the stitches for the sleeve. I'm going to do the 2 rows of the decreases in the beginning, and then I'm going to watch a movie. I think I'm going to do one of the Hunger Game movies, probably the 3rd one. Is it called Catching Fire? I think Catching Fire is the 2nd one. But anyways, I've been on a Hunger Games kick because of the like the prequels. I read Sunrise on the Reaping, which is very good, and it kind of like reminded me of this whole world, and I've been into watching the movies again. So that is what I'm going to do. I want to hope about 2 weeks. Maybe I can finish this in about 2 more weeks, just because I know the sleeve is going to take a little minute. But if I'm lucky, let's go with 2 sleeves. I mean, sorry, 2 sleeves, 2 weeks. Okay, so let's pick up some stitches. I finished the second sleeve in 2 days, which was wild. So what happened? I turned on the Mockingjay movies when I last saw you, and I ended up watching both of the movies, 1 and 2, back to back. And I was just like in the zone, mindlessly stitching away on my sleeve. So that was 4 hours of stitching, and I got like between 2/3 and 3/4 of the sleeve done. My hand was a bit sore after that. That was a bit much to be working on shorties. But anyways, so the second day, yesterday, I finished up that sleeve and got it done. So it's looking really good so far. Now, these are just some lounge shorts. I want this to be a bit longer than most of my other sweaters. So right now I'm going to place a marker and I'm going to do 3 inches and then come back and try it on again with like some structured clothes and see exactly where it's hitting at that point. Because yeah, this is a good try on length, but still have a ways to go on the body. I finished up my first ball of yarn. This is what's left of my second ball. I was untangling my yarns and I accidentally cut the wrong one, so I cut off this one as well. It's fine. And I like hand wound it back into a little ball because it was like falling apart. So I'm going to wind up my second skein and then just do body of stockinette. I've been doing the decreases, here they are marked. I've been doing the decreases at about every, I want to say it's maybe been like 1.5 inches. So I've done 3. I'm going to, still got a lot of room. So I think I'm going to continue that same pace, do 2 more decrease sets, which would be about 3 inches of body. And then I'll do a try on and see how it is looking. But so far so good. The sleeves ended up perfect. It's like a little bit above my wrist bones. And I know that this is going to grow a bit with blocking. So I'm kind of expecting it to kind of end up somewhere along the back of my hand. We'll see exactly how much it grows, but I do anticipate that it'll grow a good bit. I kind of feel like one's a little bit longer than the other. Hopefully it's not noticeable on camera, but I thought I measured them appropriately. Anyways, I need to go wind some yarn. Getting so close. So it is actually the same day. I've had a very slow weekend, which has been so nice and relaxing. It doesn't happen very often. So I've been able to get in a ton of knitting, and I focused only on this piece this weekend. So that 2-week marker that I had for myself, definitely going to surpass that. Hopefully maybe by like midweek, I might be able to finish this piece off. So updates, I finished up my 2nd ball of yarn. So now I am just working on that last 3rd ball. I did get enough of alternation. I was able to alternate ball 2 and 3 enough to where it doesn't have much of a demarcation, because ball 3 is from a different dye lot. So the first 2 I had bought during the pre-order for Explore Knits and Fibers Farmers Market collection. But when they did their in-stock update with like the leftovers, I kind of realized that I wanted a 3rd ball just in case, which I'm very glad I did. So this one is a different dye lot. It is slightly brighter or more saturated than the other ones, but because it's further down and it was able to alternate skeins for a few inches, or like for, I'd say like maybe 1.5 inches or 2 inches at least, I think it faded pretty well. So I'm trying it on with some linen shorts, which is probably one of the ways that I want to style this. It is quite warm. I'm really hoping that on vacation I get some cold, misty beach days, which might sound not great for some of you, but I love that. I love West Coast cold beaches. So that's my hope. It's hitting right at like the waistband right now, but I do want this to be a bit longer. I'm not looking for a cropped length on this one. So I'm thinking perhaps 1 inch. I don't know, because I also know it's going to grow a little bit with blocking. I'm thinking maybe 1 inch, and then probably another try on at that point. But yeah, probably 1 inch, and I think I'll be ready to bind off, but I'll try it on right before binding off just to double check, because why not? I am loving how this is coming together, and who knows, I might even be able to bind off today. Let's see how much I can get done. Oh my God, did I drop all my stitches? Oh my God, I dropped all my stitches. You've got to be freaking kidding me. Gonna take a deep breath. It'll be okay. It'll be fine. Lesson to self and to everybody: use your stitch stoppers when you are trying on things with a cord. There goes my other stitch marker. Okay, you know what? I'll see you guys in a moment. The pre-block try on. So I'm expecting it to grow a little bit in length, as well as the sleeves as well. So I'll kind of be smoothing and patting it out so that way it does grow a little bit. I did, and I cord bind off at the bottom as I had originally planned. I'm convinced that one of my sleeves is like 2 rows shorter than the other. So I'll also try to be evening that out. And if the top half of my sweater is any, I don't think that you can see it on camera, but the the blocked portion of the yoke is really nice and smooth. The stitches evened out really beautifully, and the fabric, the yarn, also softened up really nicely. You can definitely tell the difference on my bumpier, lumpier stitches on the rest of the body. So it is time to give it a bath, and we'll see how it turns out. Almost there. And here is the finished result. After blocking, the fabric just softened up really beautifully. The sleeves are the perfect length. It's nice and breezy and oversized. It is exactly what I had envisioned. So I pulled it off. I can't believe I actually pulled off my own self-draft. So I would highly encourage you all to give it a shot for yourself. This is a very, very simple piece, but it's super special to say that you self-drafted it yourself. So now for the fun part, I want to try styling it a few different ways with pieces that I already have in my closet.
Baby, so good.